Hey guys, I'm Nate. I'm an alcoholic. Yeah, I found out about this about like 15 minutes ago. So thank you, John. I'd like to thank my sponsor, Isaac, too, because he's always told me that basically the deal with this thing is that when AA asks me to do something, I got to do it, and it's just kind of the deal. It was there for me when I got here. Nobody else really wanted to fuck with me back then, and I got to be there for the guy that no one else really cares for, you know. It's got to be there. I got to do everything I can to make sure it happens. So anyway, my first time getting drunk, real loaded, my folks were they were going out to dinner, and I decided that I was going to go and try to get drunk. I'd have like little sips of alcohol beforehand. You know, they would give me little sips of wine or beer to make it seem normal. I guess that's what they do in Europe, and they don't drink like we do over here apparently. But basically, you know, that didn't work out. You know, so once I decided I was going to start taking shots of Bacardi, it had dust on it in my dad's liquor cabinet. Never thought he would notice it was any of it was missing. So I got pretty deep into that bottle. By the time they got home, I was puking in the toilet. Room spinning. I got to a point where I'm basically just dry heaving, and you know, there's nothing coming out. It's just pain in my chest. And something, you know, I talked to my dad recently. I talked to him about that story, and he told me that he remembers me telling him, swearing up and down, you know, basically on a stack of Bibles, that I would never drink again. I would never do that again. This is me. I think I was around 13 years old. And I continued to drink like that all through high school. But I've learned that drinking isn't necessarily my problem. It was kind of a solution to kind of quiet what goes on inside here. And once you take that away from me, I get what's known in the rooms as dry. I'm a very unfriendly person. I don't want to talk to people. I can't relate to anybody. You know, I'm just mad dogging everybody that I see. I just can't do it. I can't deal with life. I can't go to work. I can't get anything done. I don't even want to leave my house. It's a really, really horrible place to be. By the time I start drinking again, I need to, you know, because it's just, everything is just so loud up here, you know, that I just can't handle it. You know, I have to treat it somehow. And basically what this program is a way for me to clear all that shit out. If I do a good job of it, which I feel I've done a pretty decent job on, you get a good 4-step done, the inventory of all what's going on up here. You're able to clear it out, to discuss it with another human being, and then it becomes basically a process of maintenance. And, because of that, I get to, things are much different today. But anyway, I'm going to get a little deeper into my story. I was always kind of a rebellious kid. I was always getting into trouble. I had no reason to be, doing all this. I grew up in my family's well off. I just like to act out, basically. I like to run with a bad crowd. I was selling weed for most of my life. I just did it for fun. I never needed to. I would always tell myself that, I need to do this because my folks don't take care of me. No, I was just spoiled. That's all it was. I was basically acting like a person who I was not. And by the time I got ready to get sober, I had no idea who the fuck I was, and I was 24 years old. It's not a good place to be. Except if you're about to be into the rooms of Alcoholics Anonymous. I think I was at the best place I possibly could have, because I was truly fucked. I was beat. I just didn't want to keep going on. But, let's see. So, high school, I was basically, my only goal was to party. That got me into a lot of trouble because I'd like to get drunk in public. I didn't just like to go to house parties. I'd be the guy that would, somebody would typically have to be taken care of while I'm throwing up. I never saw it as my problem. I saw it as everybody else's problem. It's like, why do they have a problem with me doing this? Don't they do it too? I didn't think I was unique in that. But, here I am, that's kind of how I drink, typically. I do it to such extremes because one drink is not going to do it for me. I can't drink socially. I'm a very antisocial drinker. and it just doesn't work for me like it does for other people. I have friends that are normies, and they're like, oh, we had a bad weekend. I partied too hard this weekend, and I'm gonna be fine. I have difference between me and a normal drinker is that I have to start drinking at like crack of dawn when I'm going to work, because I'll still work a job as an alcoholic, but then once that job goes away, I'm just drinking my savings up. I did that for a while. I'll try to find some chronology to this. I'll be real, guys. This is my first time ever really doing this. So thanks for bearing with me. This is either going to, we'll just see how it goes. But anyway, so so I got sent off to military school when I was 15 years old. My dad thought it would kind of, whip me into shape. I stopped being such a scared little kid after that, but it didn't stop the rebellious streak. I just got better at it, and I was a little bit meaner when I came back from that. But I convinced him that everything's gonna be okay. Just let me come home. So sophomore year of high school, on the 4th of July, or the 4th of July before the sophomore year of high school, I basically get so drunk at the park that the cops arrest me, taser me. It was this whole deal. I end up going to court for it. They put me on, probation and all that, and I jumped through their hoops for about 4 months, and but during that time I got drunk again, got another charge, kept jumping through their hoops, and eventually they were just fed up with me, so I got sent off to basically in state custody. In Utah, where I'm from, there's DCFS, which is where when your parents fucked up and you can't be in their home anymore, or it's just an unsafe environment. And then there's Juvenile Justice Services, which was where I was, which was basically, just for kids who, their parents could not control them anymore. The state deemed that they were, a danger to themselves, a danger to others, and, there's, I went off to juvie, I went off to a group home, and then I went off to a Proctor home, which is, basically a juvenile foster home, juvenile justice foster home. And so I'd go from basically living this, I'll call it a bougie lifestyle upbringing that I was used to going to school with, a bunch of people that did not have the opportunities that I was graced with, that I never took advantage of. And that's a really hard thing for me to admit. I never looked at it that way. I looked at it as like, oh, these guys, I wanted to be that way. And, I know every one of those kids would have killed to have what I was given in life, and I never took advantage of it. And that's something I'll never understand. But I got a lot of these kids. They were they grew up. Their families were in gangs. Something I couldn't relate to, but I wanted to get on board with it. I wanted to fit in, and basically that desire to fit in kind of ran my life. Shortly after that, I started selling weed. Started just basically because it's easy, and you can, I could keep myself drunk. I could be the guy, basically, and I could make a little money and just kind of keep myself going. Eventually, I got popped though. So I did. I did not too long in jail. Fucking end up on probation. Most people would stop getting fucked up on probation, especially felony, zero tolerance, but not me. I didn't care about that. I just wanted to keep going. I didn't think they were actually going to get after me for it. Kept getting in trouble. Eventually I get terminated. I decided I'm going to, instead of like counting my blessings, like, oh shit, I just, basically won the lottery. I didn't serve this time in prison. I'm going to stay the fuck out of that lifestyle. Instead of doing that, I decided I was going to go move out to Northern California and start doing it on a different level, a level that I didn't understand. But I had a friend out there who I had used to work with, and he was like, hey, dude, here's the deal. We can, basically we can make dabs at my house, and, we can make some money doing that. I'm like, all right, cool, let's do that. And this guy had kind of changed, he was not the, carefree kid that I was used to hanging out with. He kind of got on a bigger level, and I didn't really understand what I was getting myself involved in. And I ended up seeing some pretty hairy shit out there. Got my ass kicked a lot. I've done a lot of things that I wasn't proud of, but I'll be honest that my bark was always and always will be louder than my bite. you know, I'm kind of full of shit. But anyway, so yeah, so you know, I did that for a year with him, and it didn't work out. I was drunk most of the time. I was treating my fear of this person with drugs and alcohol, and just kind of creating this cycle where, you know, I'd fuck something up, he'd get pissed off, and then, you know, just I'd get fucked up because I'm afraid of him getting mad, and, you know, on down the line. Basically just living a lie. And, you know, eventually I quit. You know, I told him, hey, this isn't working, I don't like it. And he's like, all right, whatever, dude, it's all good. I then decided that I'm going to go and try to do this on my own, right? And it worked out for a while because I got sober. I stopped drinking and doing cocaine, and my bad, that's an outside issue, but, you know, I got sober for a little bit. I started, you know, just doing things on my own. I got things going pretty well. I had a nice little lie set up for myself with this property. You know, I still owe a gentleman out there $16,000. Actually, it's under that now, thanks to the ninth step. But, you know, it's, but basically, you know, I was just, once again, trying to appear bigger than I was and play the actor, act a certain type of way that I wasn't, you know, because deep down I'm realizing that I'm a kind and caring person. I'm not somebody that, you know, whose sole and primary purpose is to take your money and to put it into his pocket, or to, you know, get status, or, you know, get clout or whatever. You know, it didn't. None of that mattered. I lost it all in the end. You know, so 7 months into staying sober, things were actually going very well. I had a big opportunity in front of me. Somebody had just invested a lot of money in me, and I decided that it was time to celebrate, you know. And I was like, you know, I've been doing good. Things are great. A month later, that opportunity was dried up completely, you know. And when you burn that type of an opportunity, you're kind of living in fear of what was happening. And I basically just said, fuck it, you know. I don't know what's coming around the corner, but I know that I can't live with this. I didn't want to stop doing what I was doing. So I just kind of drank, kept drinking, got into a dysfunctional relationship. I ended up getting a good job. It would have been great. Would have been a great job. I was working 80 hours a week, you know, and that adds up. Those hours add up, you know. But the problem was I could not seem to save any money because it was all being spent on beer. And, you know, it's because I can't drink liquor on the job. I'll get too fucked up that way, you know. But I can pace myself. I can drink beer all day, and I can be fine. At least that's what I think, you know. And it didn't really work out like that for what the foreman think, you know. So, you know, I was basically a lower manager on this job. Things went well throughout the year. At the end of the year, I fucked up and I trashed the generator, and I lied to them about it. I actually put that on somebody else, just because I was afraid, you know. Literally, they asked me, they're like, hey, dude, we think this was you. Can you just confirm it for us? And I think that would have been that, but I was afraid to tell them the truth. You know, I was afraid to own up to what I was doing. You know, and I think it was an honest mistake. You know, I fucked up, and I could have told the truth, and it could have fixed the problem, but it didn't. You know, and I ended up having to make that call later on, and you know, it was kind of humbling. You know, and they knew. You know, I was never fooling anybody. Yeah. So after, you know, harvest on that job, basically you know, I didn't have a job. I got my end of the year bonus, and I proceeded to just kind of sit at the bar and drink it away. And I kept doing that, and I was in such a deep hole. I was about to lose my house. I had nowhere to go, no vehicle. I was living with a woman who, you know, through no faults of her own, the relationship just wasn't good. It was very toxic, but that was mostly on me. I'll admit that. You know, and I owe money all over town. You know, some people I didn't even remember their names. To this day, I don't remember. You know, I owed one guy $1,000, another guy $2,000, and I don't know their names. You know, and these are people that are, you know, they live by a different code than we do. You know, it's not like, you know, I owe my boss $1,000. It's, you know, I owe this guy $1,000 because he fronted me a pound. You know, and I ran off with it, and I fucking, you know, put that money up my nose, or I put that money at the bar, you know. That's just basically where I was. And I was so beaten. That big cloud of impending doom was so great that I had nowhere else to turn. I basically, I said a few heathen prayers during that time because I had some stuff, I basically had some equipment that was illegal but worth money, and I decided to sell it before I was going to rehab because I had nowhere to put it. The property was going to get turned over to the owner, if he probably would have called the cops, maybe, I don't know. But, I prayed to God, and I was like, hey, God, if you help me get this, get me through this, help me get this sold, I'll go give that guy some of this money. And he never got a dime of that, But for whatever reason, I'm here today. I don't know. But basically, I called my mom. I got into treatment. I was, fortunate enough to do that. I'll be honest, though, I don't think that treatment on itself, those of you in houses, I don't think it works by itself. It's got to have something in there that's a catalyst, which is, I think, what this program is. I think it's, a good start for a lot of people. It says in the book a lot of times there's a definite hospital procedure necessary to remove us from our craving. And I think that was it for me, because once I dried out, I was in bad shape. I was screaming at people. I had a therapist at the place I went. He had to call the security on me. That's just kind of shows what happens when I dry out. It was not pretty, man. I got kicked out of the first place, ended up at another place, and I've watched basically the majority of the people I was in that place with. I watched them go out and use or drink or whatever it was. It's just, those of you in treatment, if you take it seriously, you might end up seeing the same thing. It's unfortunate, but it's a reminder to me that this thing is, there's not a huge buffer between me and my first drink. If I'm like just a few bad decisions away, I truly think that. But the space I live in today is a genuinely beautiful space because I'm not looking over my shoulder anymore. I wake up in the morning. I wake up early. I'm ready to confront the day on life's terms. To live life on life's terms. It's a cliche, but it's kind of true. There's not a whole lot I can control in my life, and that's okay. I have faith that whatever is going to happen, and that was what was meant to happen. Like the little things I can control is like my attitude. And realistically, when I came in here, I had a bad attitude. I was restless, irritable, discontent. I was restless, couldn't fucking sleep. I was irritable. You couldn't even look at me. I'd get mad. I'd say something or, just whatever. I'd start posturing, and I was discontent. I hated everybody. I hated everything. I didn't want anything anybody had to offer me. And anything that I had, I hated it too. I hated myself. It's a really horrible place to be. So anyway, I had to go and do this thing. The first step is basically I'm saying I'm fucked. I can't do this. I don't know how to do this. Second is like saying that something bigger than me needs to come in here and it needs to help return me to sanity. Which is kind of a weird word. I didn't think I was insane. I thought I was just drunk. And turns out it's like basically. Einstein's theory of insanity is saying that, we're going to try the same thing over and over and over again and expect a different result. In the book, it says if you're not convinced, try controlled drinking, right? And in my mind, that's an experiment. I had to know for sure. That second step is me knowing for sure that I'm done experimenting. I know the result. I know what's going to happen once I take that first drink. Might not happen immediately, but probably within a week, things start going downhill. They go downhill quick. It just doesn't work out. And 3, this one it seemed really kind of complicated to me. It's like, what do I gotta go fucking shave my head and go get a robe and live in the mountains? Like, do I gotta go start going door to door converting people? What do I gotta do here? That seems pretty lame. What does God want from me? And I think it's different for everybody. But for me, it's love. And that's an action. That's a doing word. What can I do for somebody else that's not me? When I'm doing that, when I'm whether it could be something silly, just, when I'm buying somebody dinner, shaking hands at the door, or, picking up the phone and calling somebody I don't want to, talk to, or, sponsoring the guy who's been mad dogging me for the past 3 weeks. Like that's an act of love, and that's what it is for me. The inventory, you have fun. It's a motherfucker, but it's worth it, dude. It was one of the hardest things I ever had to do. Except for admitting it, that was really, really terrifying. I thought that, at the end of that call, I thought my sponsor was going to be like, well, I think you need to find a new sponsor, man. That was like what was going in my head. But, I was like, you know what? It's not about that. It's about me going and doing this thing, because all these guys who seem like they have their shit together are, they say I should do this thing. So I went and did it. And, the weirdest thing is, not for everything and not even for some of the worst stuff, but I got to hear like, yeah, I did something like that. I got to hear that a few times, and that, I truly believe, and, with other, doing the fifth step with other sponsees, guys telling me their story, I truly believe that when you hear another person tell you your own story in different words, I can forgive myself a little bit, because, I'm not alone with it. And 6 was, in the book, it's not too long. 6 and 7 is kind of short in there. But, it's like holding on to all this stuff. I have to remind myself that many of the things that I would use for, it's like a survival mechanism, like, I, can't take no shit, like that. I had to be rid of that. I had to learn humility instead of, I had to get rid of pride, It's because pride has gotten me in so much trouble, man. I think, so many things I've done is just because of my pride, It's like I didn't want to get out of the game because of pride. I didn't want to look bad. I didn't want to look like a bitch. I didn't want to look like a punk. I wanted to actually go out and make something of myself in that way. And it wasn't meant to be. If I had decided that I didn't want to do that, I want a different life. Back in 2014, things would have been much different. I would have saved myself a lot of pain, and that's just what pride does for me. And a lot of step 7 for me is like if I'm about to go do something. Like before when I was sitting there, I found out I was going to speak. I was like, yo, please, God, don't let me be afraid. Just a quick little prayer in my head. If I've got something important, like, hey, please help me to be a good person today, or, please help me to do this. That's kind of what it is for me. I think a lot of it is me recognizing my own behavior and recognizing also that I need divine help to change my behavior. 8, fuck, dude, that was a pretty long list, but I didn't think it was, I thought it was going to be a lot longer than it actually was. And, my sponsor had me write it up as if I wasn't going to talk to a single one of them, just to get a full, thorough one. And, there's a lot of people on there that, they're very close to me. And that blew my mind, because I had to sit down and think about that. It's like, wow, they actually, here's somebody that, one employer of mine, he's a great guy. He gave me a job back when nobody would, because I was, I'd just been convicted of felony fucking marijuana sales. Nobody wants to give me a job. He took a chance on me. He's like, yeah, well, whatever, dude. Everybody's got issues. He took a chance on me, right? And, I would try to kind of run his business. I would try to, I would make bets with him. I would drink under the table of, his own stock. And, that wasn't right. I'd call him on the phone. He's like, yeah, dude, I knew that. I figured that out. And that was very humbling. The amends, fuck, dude, that is something I still struggle with to this day. I'm not going to lie to you guys. I have a lot of indirect amends. I can't see. Like I said, I don't remember a lot of the people that I ripped off. I don't even know their names. It's just how it worked. But I've made calls. I've, gone and talked to people. The financial aspect, especially early on in recovery, it's weird, it's like, well, fuck, I can barely afford this apartment, I can't pay my, phone bill, my electric, yada, yada, I'm cutting it so close, but why do I gotta, why do I need to do this? And every time I send that check out, I feel it. I feel it. I know that was not my money. This time around, it's not my money. I have to go give that person my money because I'm not going to do anything productive with it. If I hang on to it, it's not going to help me. Whereas if I go and give it back, it is going to help me. There's the gentleman I ripped off for 16 grand. Me and him were talking the other day, like about 4 months into me paying him money, I asked him because I wanted to get it on auto pay, so it's just I don't have to go and, get checks. He doesn't have to drive down, yada, yada. I thought it'd be easier for everybody, just doing direct deposit, but I felt uncomfortable asking him for, account information. I'm like, hey, because I ripped him off, basically. I'm not a person to be trusted. But, so I went and talked to him about that, and I just told him, I was like, hey, dude, yeah, I want to do this. And he's like, yeah, that's great, man. How's everything going? He was, like, genuinely caring about me. And I still owe this guy, $1,500, or no, $15,000. Yeah. And it was crazy. It was like, wow, I'm like only $1 grand into paying you back, not even. And, here you are asking me how I'm doing. Is everything okay? He wished me Merry Christmas. It was kind of weird. I was like, wow, that's that doesn't fit at all. But that was something I was very ashamed of for a long time, and it wasn't until I was able to give that man a call. He was out in Oregon. I was able to give him a call and, talk to him. I was able to forgive myself for that a little bit and know that, I'm setting it right. I don't have to live with it as much. A lot of this program is, it's cleaning up the problems, the old problems, and then learning a way of living so that we don't create new ones. And I'm still very early on in it. I'll let y'all know, I'm still fucking sick. But I'm working on it every day. That's what this 10th step is. Continue to take personal inventory. When I'm when I screw up, I promptly admit it. The job I have right now, I'll give you an example, is it's a shipping job. So if I make a mistake, something's going to land across the country 3 days later before we know that I even made a mistake, right? And then it's basically we have to, judge it based on the person's word, and basically I have to have integrity with what I do. Otherwise, my work doesn't work out. I have to have integrity, which I think is honesty in action. And I only get there by constantly keeping an eye on it. And admitting, that's the weird thing is, I worked at a pie shop early on in recovery, and I was working there with these girls. They were in charge of me, and they were like freaking 17 years old, and that kind of got to me a bit. But so they were, I started getting resentful, and what I've noticed with my resentments is that basically every single time I had something going on, something to start the ball rolling. It says it in the book, but I don't think it's going to fit for you until you can make it fit for you. And I had to make it fit for me too, because when I first saw it, first heard that, when I'm mad at somebody, I've got a part in it. I'm like, bullshit, dude. But basically, every single one of those, selfish, that's a given for me. But I basically, go and tell this person who was basically sweating me, in my mind I felt was, sweating me. And I, tell her like, hey, this is, my bad, I'm going to work on this. Can we, start over? And she was like, oh, I thought I was being mean to you. And so I got a kick out of that a bit, but it was, it was a lesson in humility, really. That's what it was, and that's what it's about. Every time I can get a little bit of a lesson in humility, I feel like I can accept more, because life is going to throw things at me that I'm not going to like, and I can't have an attitude of like, why me or poor me, because that doesn't work, It's just I have to accept things. I have to accept things for what it is, and so step 11 for me is through prayer and meditation, I can improve my conscious contact. I don't do this as much as I did in early recovery, and I need to something I need to work on for sure. You know, I hit my knees I hit my knees frequently, and I ask God for help because I still need it. I meditate. You know, that's a huge part of it too. You know, you can do it anytime. Just be aware of where you're at. Helps me out because I need to calm my head. You know, I need to center myself and you know, just kind of basically just center myself because my head goes to some pretty crazy extremes, and I need to be able to have that calming center where, you know, I can be open to, you know, hearing direction from a higher power if it's there. But so basically, you know, I have like a big, like, it's almost like I have a gun to my head saying get spiritual, because, you know, my disease will sooner or later kill me. It might be a decade from now, but basically I know that the other side of this is suffering. I know that for a fact. So I had to get spiritual about it. You know, I had to ask for help, and something I never had before. And it's more is getting revealed regularly. So, you know, basically the 12th step is, you know, getting out there and going and trying, not succeeding necessarily, but trying to go and carry your message to another alcoholic, which kind of feel like I'm floundering at right now, but honestly I don't really care. So I'm just glad to do it. You know, that's, you know, where the real fun of this program comes in. I get to go and talk to some guys that are, you know, newer. I get to see where I was. You know, I get to see, you know, the lights kind of come back on. You know, the first time I ever sat down and read the book with a guy, I swear, man, I was outside of myself. I was like I was looking down on myself, but I had never left my body. It was really weird. It was absolutely surreal. You know, because that's gratitude in action. You know, like I said earlier, it's this was here for me when nobody wanted anything to do with me. You know, why would they? You know, I was basically, you know, I was angry, resentful. I was fearful. You know, I was afraid of my own shadow. I was, you know, afraid of loud noises at night. You know, I was afraid to have a relationship with another human being. I just couldn't do it. You know, I was afraid to be vulnerable. I was afraid if you knew me that I would, you know, nobody would ever talk to me. I'd be ostracized. But, you know, today people know me, you know, and I'm getting to know me too. You know, I'm 25. I'm figuring out who I am. You know, I'll probably be 26 figuring out who I am. But, you know, the guy who I am is a lot better than the guy who I made up that I wanted to be. And I have this program to thank for it. You know, basically, you know, it says it in the book, calls it a psychic change. Guidance counselors, school police officers, other police officers, my probation officers, school principals, my dad, they all call it an attitude adjustment. You know, and that's what they said that I needed. You know, but that's what this program did for me, you know, because the one thing I really can't control about things is my attitude. You know, I could, you know, if I can't have a good attitude or an attitude of acceptance, at least, you know, or at least an attitude of gratitude, I've heard that a lot. It pissed me off early on, but, you know, it checks out for me now. But, you know, if I can have all that, I can kind of handle whatever life throws at me. I would like to think that. But I have a lot of faith that God helps with that too. You know, that freaked me out too. The God word, especially. I didn't think I touched on this, but you know, back when I was 16, and I first getting in trouble with the law, so I wandered into AA. I was basically trying to get a 1-month chip to show to the judge. You know, so hey, I'm on the straight and narrow. You know, please don't send me to fucking DT. I don't want to do that. That's juvie in Utah. So, you know, I get in there, you know, everybody's like, yo, get a sponsor, you know, go work the steps. And all I heard, that time I was incapable of hearing the message, because all I heard from the person up on the podium, or, you know, whoever was sharing was, you know, poor me, you know, poor me this, poor me that. And I was like, well, this sucks, you know, I don't get this, you know, why am I here? You know, I didn't want to talk to everybody, you know, I didn't want to go and fucking turn my will and life over to your lame God. You know, I didn't want to do any of that. I didn't want to, you know, call you. I didn't want to form a relationship with you. I wanted to bump cigarettes off you in the parking lot. or get you to buy me a pack because I wasn't old enough to do it myself. My first 2 big books, because I went in there after I got busted for pot too. My first 2 big books, I never cracked them. I never read them. I think I got this, on the 3rd time. I'm going to actually decide I'd give a fuck about this program because I remembered those guys, early on. They didn't seem like they had a lot, but they seemed like they were very grateful for what they had. And they were willing to maintain whatever it was that they had. And that's something I was never able to do until I, got to this program. I would trash cars. I know how to work on them, but I never would. Just because I just didn't care. I was not grateful for anything that I had, so why would I take care of it? I wouldn't fold my laundry. For sure it got dirty or, trashed, I'd throw it out and go buy a new one. And I figured I could just do that with my life almost, definitely unconsciously, maybe not consciously, but, so of course I threw my first 2 big books out. I didn't get it, but, this time around, I remembered that, those guys in AA, they have this confidence about them. It's this weird confidence, this weird smile, because they're always grinning at me, they've got this weird shit going on that, something tells me, because I knew that no matter what my life was going to look like, I didn't want to go back to where I was. I knew that the only way through this was forward. I knew that this was an option. I don't think, maybe this isn't the only option. Maybe there's other things you can do besides AA if you're new, but for me, this is an option that works. It's worked for me for the past year. And I have, faith that it's going to keep working. Something that's not talked about as much is step 0. I've heard this a few times, but it says if you're willing, if you want what we have and are willing to go to any length to get it, then you're ready to take certain steps. And that's kind of where I had to be. I wanted to be able to walk into a room and smile and not be afraid to introduce myself to people. I wanted to be able to just have this confidence I'd never had, that I could only achieve when I was getting drunk, or when I was, partying or, using other substances. I was willing to do anything to get there, that some of this shit terrified me. I didn't know that I didn't know what any of this stuff was going to look like. I thought I was going to get run out of the fucking rooms over the 5th step. I thought that I was going to get killed over the 9th step. I thought that whenever I would do the 12th step that I would just fail and it'd be on me. And realistically it's not, because if somebody, once you new guys, and you old guys understand this too, once you get to the point where you're trying to carry a message, it doesn't necessarily matter how well you do it. It's trying to, if a guy's ready, a guy's ready, or gal, excuse me, but person. But, when they're ready, they're ready. They'll go to any length to get it. And you're there to work your program. And it's really amazing, man. I got, right now, there's 2 guys, that I talked to. I did, 2 5th steps with them last week. And that was truly amazing experience to hear because, I got to hear a lot of my own story told back to me through somebody else's perspective, and I got to say, hey, I did that too, and I got to return, a service that was done for me, that, I can, this thing's a gift. That's what my sponsor told me today. And the only way I'm going to keep it is by giving it away. So, honestly, I don't really have a whole lot, but thanks for sitting through 40 minutes of me talking, guys. You guys keep me sober, and this was amazing. John, thanks for the opportunity, and, everybody in the home group. So, yeah, that's all I really got, guys. Thank you, and God bless you.
Thanks, Nate. Good job, man. All right, I need to find my place here. Let's thank Nate once more.